Nigeria appear intractable and overwhelming, as beggars are now found everywhere, especially at motor parks, religious centers, road junctions, venue of ceremony, and other public places. Observe that in the past, beggars are persons with physical and mental challenges or grossly indigent. In recent times, there appear to be a new vogue of beggars in town, derisively known as corporate beggars, who take advantage of the sympathy of the society for the less privileged to remain jobless and at times perpetrate crime in the name of street begging. Regret. The world, for example, the system that produced almajiris is still very much in existence. Its economic support tools have largely been discarded with the neglect of the government. Acknowledges the street begging not only affects the geographical and social structure of urban areas, it also portrays the country in the bad image of tourists and foreign visitors. Concerned that the street begging is a worrisome socio-economic challenge, in addition to being a serious menace and liability on the Nigerian populace, as it takes a heavy toll on the lives of teenagers who either act as guide to beggars or even engage in the act themselves and therefore are out of school. Accordingly resolved as follows: call on the federal government to formulate policy that will integrate Almajiri into the educational system, thereby discouraging them from being used of street begging. And number two, call on the federal government and state government to set up vocational training center to provide beggars with alternative means of livelihood, thereby making them useful to the society. I so move.
Second, this very, very important motion, as ably moved by distinguished Senator Sankara Abdullahi. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, there is nothing ambiguous here. Street begging is a very serious issue, and perhaps we may even want to add corporate begging, because beyond the street begging, we are also having corporate begging. And you will notice that almost every government office or commercial place you go to, you see very well-dressed people popping in and doing the begging with some style this time around. And so I want to commend the mover of this motion and to say that we must rise up to do something about this. We know the culture of begging came about through the Almajiri system, and it is simply something that, let me say, time has outdone it, and I think it is time for us to review. However, in doing this, one way or the other, we need to recruit the support, the collaboration of our various scholars, particularly the Islamic scholars, so that we can decide how best Islamic education can be given to our young ones. The idea where a child is taken away from his parents, denied the love of his parents, denied the care of his parents, and placed under somebody who himself is struggling to take care of his own self and even his family, is not sustainable, is cruel, and the result has been that most of these children don't end up having that same Islamic knowledge that you want them to have. A simple test in some places of asking the child to even recite some verses of the Quran will shock you. So what is the use of a system that is meant to impart knowledge on a child, which turns out to make that child a victim of cruelty? Just recently, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the case in Kaduna State where children and some adults were caught, more than 300 people, the condition that was shown to the world does not mimic the condition where somebody can study. So I think we need to remove the chaff from the grain. We are not saying Islamic education is not important. It's very, very important for those of us who are Muslims. Ditto, even in Christianity, that you should have the knowledge of your religion. I don't think anybody is against that. But what is worrisome, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, is to allow this system to be abused by very wicked souls among us, who use this to exploit these very innocent souls who could have turned out to be the great men and women of our dear country, Nigeria. And I think if we can do something about this, it will be a very, very welcome development. Now, with respect to corporate begging, distinguished colleagues, it's a serious issue. And I'm sure even those of us in the National Assembly, we are not free from the menace of corporate begging. People you don't know from your constituency, you don't just pop into your office. When you know fully well that you are here to represent a particular senatorial district, and different people come in, not because you even know them, but they see because you are a senator, and they come in to just tell you that they have a problem they want you to solve. Some of them will even break down crying in your office. You don't know how they even come into the premises in the first instance. So, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the import of this motion is not lost on us. It is a serious matter, and I urge my colleagues to support wholeheartedly.
The Deputy Minority Leader.
Trying to sanitize our system. Mr. President, the menace of begging is a huge burden on us as a nation, and it also defines the level of our development and civilization. To add salt to injury, Mr. President, in some situations, in urban centers in this country, you find where institutions, because they fail in their duties, some of these beggars also rise to help them. I was so embarrassed where I met a lame beggar in the traffic, controlling the traffic because the traffic warders were nowhere to be found. One, besides the institutional failure, it goes to say begging also should be legalized, since they can also partake in some of these functions that institutions should carry out. And passers-by were dropping money to them. This is truly very, very disgusting and nauseating to say of this, of a nation like Nigeria. It's very common all over the place. And it's not to say that we do not sympathize with their situation. No, it's far from it. Everybody should have where he should stay. Everybody should have his abode. If there are miscreants, some probably even who had received bullet wounds from robbery, because you won't know what is the cause of his disability. And that is why such things should be discouraged, and we should rise up and ensure that, particularly the FCT, because the FCT is the image of our nation. And the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory must ensure that these beggars are off our street for our good. This is very important because it defines the level of our civilization. An outsider who comes will first describe Nigeria from what he sees in Abuja. So, Mr. President, I think the motion is quite important and apt at a time we are battling to defend ourselves from being a world capital of poverty. So this is very important.
Beggars or sea beggars. One thing is certain, that all is not well with those group of people who have resorted to stand on the street under sun and rain to ask for arms to survive. Therefore, begging is not a profession. And for beggars, I classify them as those group of Nigerians who have looked at every alternative of life and none has worked out, including robbery or something, and have decided to just walk on the street and beg. Dr. Sankara must have said this because he must have seen most of these things happening in our society. But I must request, Mr. Senate President, that we must do something as quickly as possible to support and help the beggars on the streets, especially in the northern part of this country, where begging and illiteracy has become a combined factor. My suggestion would be in this motion that we have a lot of pastors, bishops, and imams and chief imams. The churches and the mosques will help us if government will give them some kind of support to take away these people, rehabilitate them, support them, and make them better citizens. But if we think these people do not matter, let me inform all of us here they are getting aggressive day by day. When beggars beg nowadays, they don't beg just begging, they beg with authority. And if you don't give them, they knock on your door to remind you that you have done nothing. That is a bomb waiting to explode. So the earlier we tackle this, what we call menace, the better it is for us. And there are places here now in Gariki here. If you go with a good car, they puncture your tire. And when they puncture your tire, they ask you to pay for it. So begging is changing from please to you must. And that's the danger I see. So it's something that is very timely that we'll look into it. The issue of education, and especially the Almajiris, and I'm happy the Deputy Chief Whip has spoken on this matter. I personally have experienced this. And this is, I just want to appeal to Nigerians that number of beggars we have in the streets, say they're not more than 5 million, 10 million, 2 million, 5 million, 3 million. And we have more than 5 million Nigerians who can just pick one of them and support them. It will help. It's also a plea, not a thing of that you must. So I want to suggest that this motion, we're handling it, we should give tax incentives to charity organizations who are willing to take off these people from the streets and provide them a means of livelihood. If they do this, this will encourage more people to become philanthropic in taking these children out of this. It is very surprising that even some of us who have started to help, government charges us rent, ground rent, CO4 rent, when we are training children who are from the poorest of poor, these beggars, they still charge us fees. If there are small incentives.
The Sungu should round up because we are not extending time. And there are other senators who want to contribute. We have only 10 minutes to go. Thank you very much. Senator.
Distinguished Senator Sankara, my elder brother, for this very thoughtful motion. But I would also urge him to look at this beyond just a motion, which is actually will end up in resolutions, and resolutions are actually advisory in nature to actually prepare a bill, sir, Senator Sankara, sir. I want to encourage you to actually prepare a bill so that we can have a law in this country that will touch not only on the issue of street begging, but also touching on what the Deputy Chief Whip have just touched, the issue of the Al-Majris, more especially in the north, whom I believe, and we have seen, that the earlier intention of the creation of the Al-Majris, which has been part and parcel of inculcating Islamic religion on our younger generations, has been defeated in the North as it stands today. Senator Sankara, sir, as I said before, please prepare a bill so that it can become a law in this country on how we can support the issue of the Al-Majris, support the Malams in the north, even giving them proper training, because we have seen in the past administration where mighty, gigantic schools were built in the name of Al-Majri schools in the north, but today they remain abandoned, and in fact some of the buildings has become stigmatized. And I'm happy today that some of these structures are being taken over by LEA and being converted into proper LEA primary schools, where the Al-Majris will go in there and get education, not in the name of an Al-Majri school, but in the name of LEA primary school, where everybody can go in there and get education. While actually supporting this motion, sir, I am still appealing for the third time. Let us have a bill that will outlaw street begging, that will also support in rehabilitating street beggars and making the Al-Majris education in the north a proper education where they will even be given certificates. Thank you, Mr. Senate President. Thank you, my colleagues.
But before I put this question, it's not an amendment to it. While they are trying to clear people from the street, they should also try to create some environments where they will provide some opportunity for these people. Because if you clear them and there is nothing for them, they will still come back and brave the quality face, whatever it is. So I put the question, those in favor of the additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. I think the issue of street begging is a very serious issue, but I want us to see it beyond street begging. Today, the figures keep on changing. Some will tell you we have 11 million, some will tell you even 14 million children out of school. I'm sure that also includes those who are doing street begging. And street begging is not only Al-Majris. There are people who are not Al-Majris who are also involved in street begging. But what is crucial to us will be how to get these children, particularly off the streets, to go to schools. The idea of integration is very important, and I believe that that goes with some responsibility and obligations. The federal government and the state governments must work together to ensure that we provide opportunities for these children out of school. They are the children of Nigeria, and we owe them that, and it is important that this remains one of our agenda for this country to be safer and to develop, because it's a wasteful resource that we have in the streets, and most of them will turn into undesirable behaviors and attitudes, and maybe even into criminality. So it's important we stand up to deal with that issue. So I want to congratulate our brother, colleague, Senator Adela Sankara, for this motion and those who have contributed.